Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and have you used a CGM before? CGM is continuous glucose monitor, and there's different options out there. Ideally, you can get it from your doctor, but they seem to just want to wait until you're type 2 diabetic and not be preventative. I would like us to take ownership of our health and make choices now to prevent having high, low glucose readings and optimize your health from the inside out by testing and not guessing. And that includes a CGM that goes on for 14 days, and you can order one via NutriSense. And a CGM is giving you glucose updates with a small device in the back of your arm 24/7. Totally easy. I actually did a video on my YouTube channel, Low Carb Athlete, how to apply this CGM. First time, you're kind of scared, but it doesn't hurt. But it gives you real-time glucose readings. Glucose response to meals. You'll learn about what foods are reactive to you, and that could be a healthy food that you think is great, but it could raise your glucose. Simple things as stevia, for me, raise my glucose. Chewing gum, raise my glucose. Stress, when I'm driving a car and there's traffic, raises my glucose. Every stress response is a glucose response. So learn how to manage your stress. Learn how to pick right foods for you, unless you can, do other lab testing and figure out Vibrant Wellness food zoomers, but it's kind of expensive for people. So if you can wear a CGM, it's a great way to learn about stress, food, exercise, stacking movement with your nutrition. Figure out how to balance your blood sugar. So we want to learn more about how to exercise and eat or not eat. And morning cortisol, does it raise your glucose? If there's hidden stressors at nighttime, does your glucose go up higher while you're sleeping? So it gives us lots of clues that we can put in our investigation when we are working on your personalized fueling, training, and performance program to improve fat loss, performance, and longevity. So head to NutriSense website, nutrisense.io, how it works. You can learn more about your habits, your routines, your relationship to food, a little bit more. Great app to use, and it can sync on to different programs. So you can put it all together. So if you want to get started with your journey in NutriSense, I suggest this to all my clients. Use at least 30 days. So you can do a 30-day, 90-day, different programs, but you can pick which one you want. You get the sensor in the mail, put it on, lasts for 14 days, sync it to the app, and get your readings on there. And then if you're doing my VIP coaching program, I'm working with you to correlate this data together. So begin your health optimization journey with NutriSense, and you can save on your order with our code, as usual, Low Carb Athlete. So no carbs is not our goal, it's carb timing, and using NutriSense, you can help figure out your nutrient-dense whole food plan and when to adjust your macros based on your exercise intensity, duration, based on your life stressors, and learn more. So it's nice to have this data. So test and not guess with NutriSense. Let me know how you like it. Hey, it's Debbie Potts, and I am talking to Chase Baldwin today from Body Health to talk all things protein, essential amino acids, including what is the perfect amino. So be sure to go back and listen to the 2-part series I did with the founder of Body Health, Dr. David Minkoff. And we have great videos you can watch on the YouTube channel. Look up Coach Debbie Potts, and you can find where I post all my rabbit hole videos, and interviews with my guests are on there. So be sure to subscribe on the YouTube channel to get these alerts of when we post new videos, especially this one on essential amino acids and protein utilization. So if you need a recap on the perfect amino from Body Health, we are talking about pure essential amino acids and protein utilization and how it's a little more complicated than we think to hit muscle protein synthesis, and that all proteins are not equal. So when we say 40 grams of protein, where is it coming from and how much of that are you absorbing? So I always found that really interesting, and we talked to Dr. Minkoff about that. But just to review, the perfect aminos from Body Health is a pure essential amino acid, which are the building blocks of protein. They're in a precise form and a ratio that is up to 99% utilized by your body to build new protein, new muscle, and collagen, but without the calorie impact and without breaking a fast if you are doing any fasting. Now, interesting, it's absorbed, taking the essential amino acids, they're absorbed into the bloodstream within an average of 23 minutes. And it's further enhanced by nucleic acid building blocks, what our DNA and RNA are composed of. Now, this is an important part of our DNA, and the RNA are the genetic code and messaging molecules that form and shape our body. So by adding these perfect aminos, we optimize its use within the cell in the creation of new protein and new muscle, helping to direct the process of protein synthesis and support genetic health and performance. So how does this work? Why is 99% utilization rate important for you to know, especially as an endurance athlete, an aging athlete, or just getting older in general for all of us? How do we want to improve ourselves today so we can live our best life and thrive as we are older? As I keep talking about, when I'm 80, how do I visualize myself living my life? Which means traveling to me, going up the stairs on my own and taking a bike ride through Paris or wherever that might be. I don't want to be the stereotype of the person who's struggling as they get older and has to use a cane or walker. And so I think it's important to look at how healthy are you from inside out now? What can you do to improve muscle health? And when we talk in other episodes about the microbiome, your gut health, but also your metabolism and sarcopenia and all these things that we hear about happen as we get older, but so much of it is controllable. It's taking ownership of your health today and take responsibility of what you are doing to optimize your future self. So I know I'm prioritizing what I call the holistic method. So there's 8 elements: nutrition, exercise, stress management, sleep, movement throughout the day, mobility is in there, digestion and gut health. And then we've got hydration, mineral balance. And then my 8th element is happiness, play, laughter, gratitude, being happy. So many people are not happy. So doing things that we love to do and smiling and having a good time, right? So building that community around us of people we spend time with make us feel good. So going back to the perfect aminos, what's interesting that we'll talk to Chase today about nutrient absorption, protein utilization. So with the perfect aminos, what I find fascinating is how they work. And this is why I wanted to do a 3rd podcast on perfect aminos. So here's what they say on their website, bodyhealth.com, and you can save with their code LowCarbAthlete if you want to do your own experiment. It's widely known that whole eggs are a superior protein source than meats. That both whole eggs, not the egg whites, but the whole egg and meat are superior to protein powder as whey, pea, soy, and collagen. But why are a whole egg superior protein to these other options? This has to do with the amino acid profile as a protein. They say our body doesn't get protein from protein. We don't build muscle out of whey protein or meat protein or even soy protein. Instead, our body breaks these down into building blocks that form them, amino acids. Then, the essential amino acids from these proteins, we build completely new proteins in the forms that the human body needs. But the human body requires all of these essential amino acids and needs them in a precise ratio, as we've talked about leucine. This precise ratio, one to another, in order to make a new protein. So, if there is an excess of one or more of these amino acids, this excess can't be used to synthesize new protein. Or if there's less of one essential amino acids that's needed to get the right overall ratio, this pulls down the amount of each of the others that can't be used. So it's the right amount of essential amino acids. What happens if we have too much or too little? This leaves the extra amino acids the body can't use, but also our body has no way to store amino acids. So what happens? They're converted into glucose or body fat. These extra amino acids are the actual source of calories in any protein we eat. So by taking an essential amino acid supplement as Perfect Aminos, this has the exact essential amino acid, the exact ratio needed to build new protein, but without the extra amino acids. So can you depend on your, what was I making today? Tuna with hard-boiled eggs chopped up, salad with pickles, and avocado oil mayo, or that tri-tip, or my ground beef I had yesterday. Am I getting the right amount of amino acid profiles from the meals that I am eating? Am I consuming the right profile to help build muscle? I'm eating protein because that's what makes me feel full and satiated, as well as I'm worried, concerned, and motivated about my muscle health. I want to gain muscle. I don't want to lose it. And as I'm 52 years old, I need to really prioritize eating more protein each meal, but also prioritizing eating protein first on my plate, as well as I've been talking to my clients about proper digestion, chewing your food, eating in a parasympathetic state, so not multitasking and stressed out when you're eating, but chewing your food. Ideally, you're supposed to chew 20 times. It's really hard. And breaking your food down. I need to get digestive enzymes with HCl betaine to help break my food down, or else it sits there too long. So what we eat, how we eat, when we eat, why, and even where is an important part of what we work on with what I work on with my clients. So taking an essential amino acid that's clean and with the right amino acid profile as Perfect Aminos is something I'm curious about and been experimenting with taking. And what time of day? You'll learn that in our podcast episode with Chase coming up here. Now, a lot of people have essential amino acids, but are they the right combination of aminos? They also take products that have a powder that has a lot of junk in them. And I know my liver's already working hard to filter through everything, especially I need more liver detox support based on my genetic profile. So taking the right type of essential amino acid supplement that doesn't have a lot of fillers, a lot of chemicals added to it is really important to me personally for my choices. Also, people that take branched chain amino acids, are they getting the right profile of amino acids to get that protein utilization? So you can look at the chart on bodyhealth.com. I'll try to copy it into the show notes. But branched chain amino acids, The article says at the bottom of the spectrum are branched chain amino acids that we know, BCAAs. Our body requires all of the essential amino acids to build new protein. Branched chain amino acids are only 3 amino acids. So when your body utilizes 1% of those branched chain amino acids to build new protein, what happens to the rest of the 99%? They're converted to glucose in the body as sugar, stored as body fat. What happens when you have whey, even pea, and soy proteins? Only 16 to 18% of the amino acids in those proteins are utilized by the body to build new protein. So then we have 82% to 84% being excess amino acids, which would be converted to glucose in the body, stored as body fat. What about meat, fish, poultry? That seems like a safe form with protein that you can utilize. They're a little better, 32% being utilized and 68% being unused. And then the top of the chart are eggs. Whole eggs have 48% utilization rate with only 52% converted to glucose or body fat. So egg whites just by themselves are only 16%. So people that, I see this restaurant that still just does healthy restaurant that has egg white eggs on their menu. They don't have egg yolks, just egg whites. So remember, egg whites alone are 16% utilized in new proteins versus a whole egg is 48%. Big difference. So getting an essential amino acid, as is perfect aminos, this has the precise ratio of the essential amino acids that your body is needing if you are like me who wants to build new proteins, new muscle, and collagen. That's up to 99% utilized. Now, there's no calories when you take these supplements, but by adding these into our plan, and we'll talk about when to take them in the podcast, we optimize its use in the cell to create new protein and muscle, helping direct the process of protein synthesis and support our genetic health and performance. So you can learn more about the nucleic acid building blocks to optimize protein synthesis in another article that helps the cell in creating new proteins. So we want to support genetic health and performance for sure. Now, this is looking at what type of forms of protein, what forms of amino acids that are fully absorbed. So taking a tablet is a good, to me, bonus insurance to make sure I'm getting the protein I need to build new muscle. Now, you can take it 20 to 30 minutes before a workout. It's usually absorbed in the bloodstream by the time you start and help repair micro tears in the muscle as they occur. Dramatically, this can improve endurance and recovery time. But what Chase talked about, taking them in the evening before bed. Because what happens when we're sleeping in that deep sleep, restore and repair, build new muscle. So I find that taking the amino acid, I use the tablets before bed, is going to benefit me to help repair while I'm sleeping. So interesting conversation with Chase about this. I learned some new things, but how much perfect aminos to take and when is on the website. It depends, of course, on your goals, your body size, your weight, your timing of your workout. If you have injury, you need to look at all these variations and how well you digest protein. So check out their blog page and learn more about the perfect amino. And of course, N=1, experiment and tweak a little bit, course correct, and see what works best for you. And they have a support group and a Facebook page you can learn. But basically, they say overall health and energy, increased lean body mass, collagen production, stronger bones, take a baseline of 1 to 3 servings daily. So what is a serving? For maximum utilization of perfect amino, Best take 30 minutes before other fats or proteins, or 1 to 2 hours after. If not possible, you can still get results near 99% utilization. So you can start with the following for your body weight. Up to 110 pounds, take 1 to 2 servings first thing in the morning or before bed. 110 to 140 pounds, take 2 servings first in the morning and before bed or before bed. 140 to 170 pounds, take at least 2 servings first thing in the morning and 1 before bed. And if you're 170 to 200 plus pounds, take at least 2 servings first thing in the morning and 1 to 2 servings before bed. So if you are taking those amounts, you should be noticing changes with a couple of weeks. So when taking 2 servings in a day, it most effective when taken at the same time, not splitting it up. So test it out. Good for injury, recovery, repair. I would be interested in, tracking how your sleep is, deep sleep, and looking at how you can improve that deep sleep score so you can get even more muscle health and repair. So check out the protein utilization chart on their website. I find this as really beneficial of how much will convert to protein that you can use to build new muscle and what amount is converted to sugars and fat. So 99% of it is used when you use essential amino acids from Perfect Amino. Whole eggs, 48%, meat, fish, poultry, 32%, whey, soy, nuts, 18%, and then branched chain amino acids that a lot of you are still taking, I know, are just 1%. So how much is going to be helping build anabolic versus catabolic is pretty amazing. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll put this link in the show notes and use our code LowCarbAthlete to purchase and save on the bodyhealth.com website and check out their products too, as the electrolytes that have the essential aminos, and they have a protein powder meal replacement that I've tried for some clients as well to help add in a little bit more nutrient dense foods that are easy to digest. So let me know your thoughts. Let's hear what Chase has to say. All right, guys, I have Chase Baldwin on the podcast to dive into essential amino acids, the importance of prioritizing protein and muscle health, muscle protein synthesis, all that stuff we've been diving into. And I wanted to pick Chase's brain again. And we talked a little bit, Chase, at Expo West, which I just said you probably don't remember talking to me because Expo West is, people don't know, for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You guys are there 3 days of nonstop meeting people. So thanks for being able to come on and talk shop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, Expo West is a special kind of crazy. It's, you never know if you're selling to somebody, you're being sold to, what somebody's agenda is. Like, people be interested and very interested in products, and they're like, and what do you do? Well, I'm a manufacturer of, got it, I'm not interested.
Yeah. You have to have your filter.
Yes, exactly. And until you do it a few times, you don't realize that people are pitching you constantly at Expo. So it's not generally my scene. I was just there as kind of a expert support for people like yourself that just came across questions that we didn't, our normal retail grocery channels wouldn't be able to answer. Yeah.
So let's talk about who you are. What do you do?
Sure.
Why do you do what you do?
I work with Dr. David Minkoff and the team at LifeWorks and Body Health. We are located in Central Florida in Tampa Bay area. There's one of the largest clinics in the country, and then we are also a supplement manufacturer that is one of the fastest growing in the country as well. We've been discovered by some pretty affluent influencers recently that have exploded us beyond any imaginable realm of targeting. And that's been fun. That's been my year is playing catch up with that. But my primary job is educating practitioners, primarily, or clinics. And then we also work with a lot of gyms and personal trainers and physical therapists and MDs, DOs, cover the gamut of people that constantly have questions and how do I implement this? What does it do? And my primary focus is on products that Dr. David Minkoff himself has created and brought to market. So,
what's your specialty in those products?
I don't know that I have a specialty. I kind of fell into the position from research and study. I study papers, I study studies, and I'm very good at translating them into common lingo. I'm very good at picking up what's not said, which is I found that most studies have a very strong element of marketing that kind of flows into a direction to get to what they want to sell, which is great. But oftentimes, those studies are then referred to for decades as non-topical elements. Like lysine is one that's constant. BCAA manufacturers have created a rhythm for what that is for the body, and a lot of it ignores sound, basic human biology, but not all of it. But just as an example. Yeah.
I found my passion as I get older is helping people understand how to create their best self now so they can be their ideal self in the future. So we can improve how we age and perform our best at age 70, 80, 90, because after I turn 50, it's like, wait a minute, and watching my parents age and what happens with all their friends, and you kind of could see it. And now it's more of a motivator to me to take ownership of my health, which I always have, but in a different way, knowing what's around the corner and how we can prevent a lot of what happens as we age is more of a choice.
Yeah. Yeah, I work with a lot of doctors in a lot of different fields, but the one common denominator is we're in a field where primarily people are looking to help. Most of us have started by wanting to help ourselves with a major ailment. There's always a story about disastrous life conditions and then the discovery of a different path that works better. And the amount of individuals who are now helping thousands of people based on their own journey to do that it's endless. The guy I work for, one of the most brilliant people I've ever come in contact with, and it's very unassuming. He doesn't talk over your head. He's not arrogant or boisterous or self-important. He is a 45-time Ironman triathlete that's 75 years old and still works full clinic hours and stays late every day to do podcasts and teach at seminars. This weekend, he went to Miami to work with some of his clients, and then he's up in Orlando for an ozone therapy conference that he's a board member of. Like, very active.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone in this industry is in this industry to help others. I think that's what's so beautiful about it. It's not like anything else.
Agreed. Yeah. And so those that don't know, we interviewed Dr. Minkoff, 2-part series a few months ago, or I guess it's January. I don't know how it's suddenly May 2024, but it was a few months ago, which is maybe 6 months. But he really, yeah, I know. He went over about amino acids but there's just so much more to talk to everyone about. And you said some great things when I was asking my many questions at Expo West Natural Product Show. And I think maybe just start with essential amino acids and muscle protein synthesis. What are the common myths that you hear a lot the most from all your questions you get?
Well, okay. So the number one, I don't know if it's a myth as much as it is a misunderstanding.
Yeah, that's probably a better word. Let's go misconception, misunderstanding.
So when people are taking supplements for collagen, to grow collagen, skin, hair, nails, that is, skin, hair, and nails are waste products of protein synthesis. Like, it is a byproduct of being anabolic and making new proteins. When you're taking a supplement, say like an animal collagen, it is impossible for them to call it a actual protein, or they would. Like, they're not avoiding that because it's some magical thing. Collagen is protein, soft cell tissue is protein. Everything in that product is an amino acid complex, but it lacks all of the essential amino acids to be called protein. So where you see a lot of development is in the waste byproduct of amino acid conversion, right? It is wasted amino acids. That's why your hair, skin, and nails sees improvement very easily. It's just everything else that kind of gets bypassed. It's in a fishbowl all by itself. It's not a protein supplement. It's eating inefficient, high glucose, high fat sugars with amino acid backbones. So number one, I guess, is amino acid supplements are in the same field as protein supplements. And collagen is an incomplete protein supplement that is being used as if it is a protein supplement, even though it's never said it was, right? Number two, plant-based diets are better than are healthier for us. And I guess the actual statement is meat-based diets or animal-based proteins are hard on the kidneys, hard on the liver, they're hard on the body, yada, yada, yada. And we should just eat less efficient, incomplete proteins instead. Nothing about that is common sense. Like nothing about that rings true outside of narrow tests that are backed by lots of money that kind of quantify this, while omitting very serious points like how clean is the food that you're eating? Are these people eating that you're doing these tests on that show kidney failures? Are they eating clean meat? Are they eating grass-fed, grass-finished? Or are these American subjects or are these European subjects, right? Are these New Zealand animals that never see glyphosate, never see corn, or are they highly processed fast food grade meats? Or we just don't look at it. We don't know. Maybe it's both.
Yeah, I think that's a big topic, though, just throw in there to circle back later. But the animal versus protein, that all amino acids are not equal, or protein. Because when you say 30 grams of protein to 50 grams a day, but what is the amino acid profile? So looking at that is probably a good confusion area to discuss.
Yeah, it is. Like all proteins are the same is the next big misnomer that is the reason that we look at it like protein is a basic number. Dietitians are taught on numbers. Numerically, a protein is a protein is a protein. It's all the same, right? They look at this in every category. It's very, very mathematical, algorithmic, numerical quantification. It's not a matter of applying any common sense. Like what makes a protein good or bad? Or its digestibility, its absorbability, and its amino acid composition. Amino acid composition is the biggest one when we're dealing with supplements and protein qualities from whole foods. So something that happens in body health often with the retail channel is communicating the comparison of our protein or amino acid complex, versus a whey protein supplement or a pea protein supplement. So you'll hear it's 29 grams equivalent for a serving of 5 grams. And clinically, we don't do that. Clinically, we look at meat only. Like what are animal-based protein? That is what the USDA, that is what the International Nutrition Board quantifies as quality protein. Everything else is incomplete or has a high limiting factor. It has an amino acid in its complex that makes it less useful because it's so low that it's a cutoff point for the usefulness of everything else. We have that data. We know it exists, but to acknowledge it and really drill it down for the public is billions and billions and billions of dollars. Every bit of legislation that's been written, every bit of datum that has been written worldwide would have to address that wholesale, right? We'd all have to go, well, maybe everything's not exactly 4 calories. It's called the Jones factor is what everything's based off of right now. And it's a simple algorithmic detail that gets close enough. It's been disproven to be incomplete, and we've proven that eggs are better than meat. But we're not going to say that on a nutrition panel because then we have to change everything that nutrition panel is based off of to recognize that that's a thing. Mm. So lowest common denominator, it's who we talk to on the planet, right? Like simplify things to where everyone can understand it. And at different ranges, it bites us back.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think it gets confusing to people that it's a good truth bomb. Not all proteins are equal. And when you get down to looking at, as you said, 5 grams of protein what's that equivalent to? And then I always share the chart that's on Body Health website of the nutrient absorption rate, as you said, whey protein to an egg to chicken, that varies. That is not, all things are not equal and all proteins are not equal. So it leaves the consumer a little confused. All right, I know I'm supposed to get 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal spread out in doses throughout the day to hit my protein goal. If you're doing the, layman, Dr. Lyon, looking at, say, how much protein per day based on my ideal body weight. So say I want 130 pounds, 130 grams of protein a day, break that up into 3 or 4 doses. But then you're saying that 30 grams, I might not be getting that.
It inflates it artificially. So you might feel like you're hitting your dosage, but really you're not. You're just getting in excess sugar and fat that, ketoneogenesis, it's not going to help you in any way. So yeah, you're inflating your number and deflating your actual gain of protein. So it's detrimental on both ends to count supplemental protein as part of your daily protein, right? Like we clinically, and a lot of gyms are a different animal because they're generally on a higher range. I don't think 1 gram per pound of body weight, like Dr. Lehman says, I don't believe that is high protein diet. I think that is just an intelligent diet without getting to the world of high protein. Anyone who's doing that isn't being extraordinary in something that every cell in their body uses. It's not only breathe 2/3 of the day because oxygen, it's don't drink too much water. Too much water is bad. Well, I guess that one is true, but we'll leave that leave that alone. Yeah, no, Dr. Lehman's right, but you can look at the DRI, the Dietary Reference Intake. It's a manual that's written by the USDA. It's recognized by International Nutrition Board. They rewrite it they make adjustments every 5 years. They rewrite it every 9. The 2014 version in comparative plant-based diet, or comparing plant-based or incomplete proteins to whole proteins, just simply says, yeah, you can live plant-based, but it's very difficult because of amino acid composition. In their 2020 re-up adjustment, they erased the entire chapter and made a PowerPoint PDF it's a 3-page picture document that basically says plant-based food is amazing and you should have it. And all of the data has just been moved aside because that's not important. So we'll compare ours at up to 99% utilized to meat protein at 15% utilized. So, or excuse me, at 32% utilized. I apologize. Meat protein's 32% utilized. So we can say that 1 serving of perfect amino is like having 3 times that in meat protein. But we don't go to the 5 range because then we're inflating our number just like whey would be inflating it or pea protein would be inflating it. You've got to eat more protein. There's no cutting corners, and supplemental protein is cutting corners. Right? We use perfect amino. It is a way to augment your inability to eat properly, right? Like if you were eating 130 grams of meat protein or animal-based protein a day, your need for perfect amino is strictly to get a surplus, to get net gains, right? I want more strength. I want to handle this condition or that. But the reality is if you eat a quarter pound of meat 3 times a day, you're not hitting that, right? Like it's
because what?
Well, a quarter pound of meat's about 40 grams of protein. So if you're getting 120 grams of protein, you're still deficient if you're looking for 130. And that's eating a quarter pound of meat 3 square meals a day, or a pound of meat for dinner and a quarter pound for lunch. I don't know many people that'll do that aren't really, really serious about it, right? It's not as casual. Yeah.
Like Sean Baker that will have like multiple steaks a day, I think, or just 1 20-ounce ribeye.
Yeah, exactly. Like he gets it, like it's a job, and people are in awe that he does it, but really like he supports his body frame. He doesn't do excess. He's not doing more than he should. He's doing what his ideal body weight and size is. He's a big man.
So how do you know if you're getting excess? You're saying if we eat too much protein, that might be good to clarify. It will convert by a gluconeogenesis, neogenesis, create new sugar for the conversion of protein to glycogen. So you're increasing your glucose because you're not utilizing that protein. If you could dive into that.
Right. Well, and it's not just gluconeogenesis, it's also ketoneogenesis.
Hmm.
So different amino acids can only convert to certain things. So like lysine, as an example, can't convert more than 2/3 of it to glucose. So a third of it's always going to move to fat if it's not being utilized. Valine can't be converted to sugar at all. It can only be converted ketoneogenesis. So you have different ranges. So that's for one. Protein's designed to be that way. This is data. If you look at the carnivore diet as a whole, you've got gentlemen out there and ladies that have been eating purely, strictly meat for years. And what we know is this: if there's no glucose in the blood, there's no brain activation. We will become brain dead. So obviously, we're eating meat, and meat is turning into carbohydrates. The only difference between a carbohydrate and a protein structure is the nitrogen molecule from the amino acids. That's it. If you're striking that nitrogen molecule out because it's not going to be used to make new cells, you're left with a carbohydrate, right? Nitrogen goes to the urea, and you're left with a simple carbohydrate that can be broken down via gluconeogenesis. So obviously, there can be conditions with overloading the body on nitrogen waste, but that's protein that's not being utilized, right? So if you're taking excess whey protein supplements or vegetables in general for a protein source, like beans are notorious. Nuts are actually worse. We'll touch nuts. Nuts. If you look at 1,000-gram profile of nuts, you have less than 50 grams out of that 1,000 is amino acids. So it's 95% or more catabolic waste for your body to deal with, right? So you're trying to eat a crude form to break down into this usable, refined essential amino acids, but it's almost 1,000 to 1, right? That's when you start running into a problem. Supplemental whey protein, that's roughly, we'll say, if you've got ideal digestion, you're in your early 30s, peak physical condition, will give you 20% utilization. But if it was 100% utilized, all essential amino acids in that serum are used at their fullest potential, which isn't true, you would still have 60% catabolic material, 60% non-amino nitrogen and carbohydrates.
Could you just help people understand what that means, catabolic waste?
Sure. Sure. So when you're doing amino acid serums, so like people look at what we say or what we point out, and it's funny. Some people are like, "Why did you make this claim about XYZ protein having XYZ utilization rate?" It's empirical data. We've been looking at the amino acid profile of food since the early 1950s. So when you look at that profile, you take 1,000 grams of that product and you break it down and you look at the amino acids and you see what's there. So with all of the ways, the absolute highest you can have while looking at that profile of what your body's actually looking for, what quantifies it as a protein is the essential amino acids, the amino acids your body can't manufacture on its own. Only 40% of the total content of the best possible way of measure all of them. There's 5 different categories. Look at all of them. 40% is actually quantifiable protein by the means of essential amino acids. 60% of it isn't even protein. Like it is because we say it's all protein, but in reality, 60% of it our body's not using to make new cells. 60% of it our body has to break down to get to the 40, which then has limiting factors and digestibility concerns. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just think people hear all this and go, wait, this is way more complicated than I thought. I just want to get stronger.
Yeah.
I just need to get my protein in.
So moving on to a thing, which people think that I'm just like, if you think that I'm just bashing protein supplements, I'm really not. They have a valuable purpose. one of the most common questions I get is, when do you take Perfect Amino, pre or post workout? And a lot of times we'll talk about it as, it's good pre-workout. There are enzymes. There's a loss through sweat of essential amino acids. It's good to have Perfect Amino as a pre-workout if that's something you're after. But the only thing your body wants after a workout is glucose. It wants sugar to rush to the muscles to help, activate muscle synthesis, to help repair. We like sugar in our muscles after a workout. We should eat calories. Protein supplements like whey or pea or whatever, soy, they're giving you a lot of calories. That's a great thing to have after a workout. It's not going to build muscle. Muscle isn't developed while you're walking around throughout the day. Muscle is developed when you're in your bed, asleep at night, in that hour and a half, hopefully, maybe even 2 hours. For a lot of us, it's less than 45 minutes of deep sleep. That's when our bodies actually build new muscle from and repair what we did to it during the day.
So those people that are struggling to change their body composition might want to focus on their sleep first.
That's 100% right. Because, your body's not going to repair itself. It's not going to build. It's not going to make itself better if it doesn't get deep sleep.
Yeah. So going back to the workout part, people probably want to go, wait, what did you say? So pre-workout, post-workout, fueling to improve performance. If you're doing a zone 2 type of long sustained distance fat burning fuel sourced exercise versus doing a zone 4, zone 5, more anaerobic, glycolytic, creatine phosphate energy systems in zone 5, how would we adjust that?
I'm a huge fan and proponent of working out fasted. So getting in calories pre-workout, I think is not ideal. It's popular, and obviously there's some mode of success there. We can't completely shut that down as viability. Plenty of people work out after drinking a protein shake or eating even a dozen eggs back in the day. People still do that. I don't know anyone who still drinks raw eggs.
I don't know. I know a lot of people eat a dozen eggs a day lately, but
I just don't know that they do it in a blender.
Yeah, but taking the eggs, but before you go on, just remember where you're going. Fasted exercise, why, before you continue, why do you think fasted is better than fed? And does it matter what time of day you're exercising?
I don't know enough about that. But time of day, there's I try to learn from those that know more than me, right? And that is something that I don't see agreed upon. Guys like Gary Brecka and David Minkoff work out at 4:00 in the morning. Guys like John Jaquish, I think, is amazing. He works out whenever he wants to. That man eats 3 days a week. So
crazy.
Fasted 4 days a week. I don't.
But they're also all men. What about women? Is there?
Yeah, see.
But that's where it gets confusing.
It is. Like there's a lady that I'm quite fond of named Connie Nightingale. She is a former bodybuilder. You know what? I don't know. I can't pretend to be an expert there.
But I think the answer is, you're saying what the answer is. It depends, because we all unique or different. And I think there's so many variables to, say fasted or fed exercise is better, because it's not one size fits all approach. You're just exactly what the answer probably is, well, I don't know. So it depends on you.
Exactly right. Yeah. Like I've seen success in both cases, and I've seen failures in both. And I think that's exactly right. It really does depend.
Well, and I think I'll just add on, and we can go to post-workout. But I think when I work out at 5, today I was at the gym at 5:15 in the morning. And there's a big argument of that females need to eat beforehand. I'm not going to eat that early in the morning. I'll have some coffee and put a little cream in it. But I'm not going to sit down and eat and sacrifice my sleep too to get up earlier to eat. And I need to digest my food an hour or so. So I think it depends on the time of day you work out, and then work backwards what you ate for dinner the night before, because that's going to fuel you a little bit too, I think. But the amino acids, if you took, say Perfect Aminos, people don't know, are essential amino acids. Would it benefit me in a morning workout if I'm going to lift heavy,
and then I went for a bike ride. Would that help me taking any essential amino acid tablets pre-workout?
Yeah. It's certainly, I mean, it's not negative, right? Because it's not going to break your fast. So even if you are in that fasted state, it's going to keep you there. So mTOR can do its thing. Autophagy can stay doing its thing. It's a benefit on that side. That I personally believe that there's only 3 triggers for hunger, breaking a fast, and protein. Actual cellular need for protein or ATP is one of them. So Perfect Amino is going to handle that as well. But for people that are thinking they need to eat, obviously I've already dismissed the concept that we need protein for working out. Like, I think that's a mistake. You could sooner get me to believe that we needed cholesterol before a workout or just sugar. But
would it avoid, if you're working out in the morning, would it help you avoid being in a catabolic state, breaking down your muscle for fuel? Is a theory.
So here there's another one right there. So catabolic versus anabolic. That relationship in protein is protein metabolism. In order for our bodies to make new cells, equivalent cells must be broken down. So we are always in a catabolic state. When we have essential amino acids, the full spectrum in our body, we're also anabolic. So being catabolic is not a negative. I don't think we should ever consider it to be a negative unless it's from starving, because then your body's in straight autophagy, right? Ideally, unless, it's in autophagy, hopefully cleaning itself, ideally, unless you're just starving it with giving it a little bit of calories. Oh, it's just some nut milk, that's going to put your body into a state of starvation, which you don't want to be in. But that's it's something that it's delicate, because so many people assume anabolic versus catabolic is there's these 2 separate entities, and there's 2 separate actions. And the only time that's true is when Perfect Amino or something, an equivalent, isn't present. Like everything about fasting that's being done outside of gentlemen like Dr. Minkoff and Dr. Jake Wish, who's got a product that's still essential amino acids, very similar technology. It's they're doing fasted technology. They're doing fasted research. There's a lot of interest there. Everything else that's done doesn't even understand the science of what we're working with. So when we're anabolic but still fasted, the whole catabolic concept's gone, right? Like, it's now a metabolism effect, and you need it.
So it's more about protein metabolism. Does that have to do with mTOR versus AMPK? mTOR being in anabolic versus AMPK is more catabolic?
It does. Again, that goes into more of what I believe Jake Wish is looking at currently over the past couple of years. I don't think he's released any actual research on it, just has innuendo and anecdotal, I would call it evidence, but as a community, we obviously can't at this point. But I think it has a lot to do with all of it. mTOR is something we want to be in for muscle synthesis. It's something we want to be in to grow. Generally, it doesn't happen at the same time. So there's a possibility that Perfect Amino makes that happen, right? And his essential amino acid supplements. It's possible.
Okay.
We don't know.
Exactly. We don't know. So during workout, any benefits, and post-workout to take essential amino acids?
No. You're going to lose depending on your metabolism, again, you're going to lose 1 to 4 grams of essential amino acids through your skin every hour you sweat.
Through your skin? Really?
Yeah. It's people wonder why we put like Perfect Amino in our electrolytes, and that's why, because it turns out that's really a thing. There's been a couple studies that have proven that. So the variable tends to be a metabolism, but if you consider there's a lot of people out there that are eating plant-based diets that are really close to that 40-ish grams of protein a day, you work out in the morning and you've lost 10% of that day's protein input. So now you're really on the negative side. So it's not nothing for sure.
Yeah, I like that, the electrolyte mix. I have clients in Hawaii that sweat a lot, riding their bike on the Queen K and Kona that need electrolytes and protein amino acids, I think benefit them.
Yeah, they
So
do. They do. There's a lot of, like, out in Hawaii, we got a lot of people that take Perfect Amino with the electrolytes. It's not high sodium though. So athletically, like, there's a lot of people that still put salt in it on top of it to make it really more like Element T. I'm not sure how they
I have that. I was trying to take a swig of there, but I can't do stevia. So that's my only problem with Element. I have to do unsweetened, but adding that with amino acids, yes, it does help for powdered versions unsweetened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. And then I could talk for hours, so I know I'm going to run out of time. I want to get into the post-workout. You mentioned a little bit that we don't need protein afterwards because you hear you need 30 minutes. Women need protein. Men can wait up to 3 hours, but you're saying we just need glucose to feed the muscles, the glycogen, not to repair muscles because it happens while we're sleeping.
Yeah, it happens while they're sleeping. Like, we want to, our post-work, like, if you were to ask us, Debbie, our post-workout amino acids are taken right before bed. I don't care when you worked out, that's when you want a mega dose of Perfect Amino for muscle development, right? That's when it's important. Protein supplements, like a collagen, a soy, a pea, or whatever you like, that's totally fine post-workout because it is mostly glycogen. Like, you're going to get some benefit from essential amino acid, but it's a lot to break down. There's a lot of catabolic waste, and that's not a bad thing. Like, there's a lot of micronutrients that can happen in a product like that. So ideally, I would say eating protein's better after a workout, but not necessarily true for everyone because sometimes some people just need a boost of faster sugar, right? Yeah.
I think when people post-workout, I think of how I feel afterwards. I have to wait till I'm in the parasympathetic nervous system state, the rest and digest to eat real food. If I did a hard workout, say summer, I start doing longer, harder bike rides that I get done, it's hot, I don't want to eat something, but I know I need to eat something. So that's when I do a shake, something easy to digest. And then when I'm ready to eat a solid meal, I'll do that. But I think it's, that timing for me when I can actually digest food.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Reds for that myself. Like, Reds with a little Perfect Amino is a good after for me, but it's mostly beet sugar. So it's easier to digest and it's all phytonutrients.
And a noisy crow in my ear. So the Reds, those are antioxidants, right? So is that bad to take near workout? I thought you're supposed to wait a bit until your body does its own natural production.
It's fruits and vegetables. I know, like, to be quantified as an antioxidant, you have to be able to donate hydrogen to free radicals. While you're working out, you are releasing free radicals in the protein metabolism, game. We're breaking down old cells, senescent cells, zombie cells, whatever you want to call them. Those are now free radicals in the body. Not to mention, you've got your headset in and Bluetooth radiation waves happening, whatever you've got going on. Like, there's a lot there that antioxidants help with. But to be quite honest, like, we have been using H2 clinically in workout and endurance athletics, H2 infused, which is molecular hydrogen. It is purely free-form hydrogen that can go and handle that. It's roughly 6 times what an ideal dosage of antioxidants from fruits and vegetables is eventually going to give you. So
doing the hydrogen tabs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dissolve them in water. Basically, you're drinking hydrogen gas at that point if you're doing it right. Up to 8 parts per million in a shot, and that's, I said 6 times. I'm sorry, 16 times. Like, in a 8-ounce drink, your average greens drink might have a 0.5 part per million of free hydrogen if you're really lucky. So yeah, it's barely an antioxidant in comparison, right? So I don't know. That's
yeah, I was finding that interesting that I worked for Ben Greenfield Coaching. He was a big fan always of the hydrogen tabs, in the essential aminos, but just having the I know there's a place here in San Diego, Solana Beach, that sells hydrogen water, and people just, you can buy the big bottles of it. But they were doing this blood test that you could see your blood, just prick your finger and they put it in a microscope and see oxidative stress, free radicals on the cells would be shaped differently. And then they give someone hydrogen water and then test their blood again. It was kind of seemed, is that real? But it was difference in their cells. It was really weird once they got hydrogen.
Yeah, and that, like the hydrogen waters, I don't know what brand they're using of a machine. The best that I've seen out of any of those is 4 parts per million. So that's still half of what those H2 tablets are. But yeah, like it makes a huge difference. Something that Japan studied gosh, I guess it's been about 10, 15 years ago now. They had a study that came out that showed that it lowered lactic acid buildup in muscles. So your endurance actually is increased if you're taking H2 prior to working out, or taking a hydrogen bath, I think is what they were doing. So yeah, they had higher endurance because they were bathing in hydrogen.
Taking it before? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think it's just when I'm looking at supplements and doing a supplement audit with client, I'm always researching, all right, when is the best time of day to take this based on their life schedule and their workouts and everything when they're eating their meals, and figuring out optimization of those nutrients or supplements so you can get the most out of them. Mm-hmm. So that kind of leads me to the last part of the conversation on recovery, repair. We talked about sleep is when your body repairs and builds muscle. And if people are like me, I'm all about not losing muscle. I want to build muscle, power, strength, speed as I get older, not lose it. So really, we might not focus so much on our protein dose per the day, but maybe we need to do that, but optimize our sleep, evening routine, morning routine to get that deeper sleep, and picking aminos before bed. Talk about that strategy.
So the reason we eat 3+ hours before bed is because most protein that we're going to eat at that time, it takes that long before you start getting the impact of the amino acids. And there's the requirement of not digesting food while you sleep, because you're not going to sleep. Your body's going to be too cellularly active. So we highly push the importance, especially if you are looking total body health, figure out what you ate during that day protein wise and bridge the gap, fill the gap. Like, let's say you were after 200 pounds, you're 200 pounds of ideal body weight. You got in 140 pounds of protein, like food. I said 140 pounds, 140 grams of protein food wise. So there's still that 60-gram delta. Divide that by 3, and that's how many grams of perfect amino you need to take to reach your goal for protein health. Not necessarily building, just being healthy. Now, you can take that before bed, and that's really going to focus in on your body using those to repair, put you into a deeper sleep, right? Melatonin, serotonin, dopamine, those are all made with precursors of essential amino acids that we need before bed. Otherwise, they're not going to be made in high rates. It's an interesting way to kind of focus. I guess we could use the word biohack, right? What we're eating to do a certain thing. So it's taking them before bed is great because it doesn't break a fast, right? There is almost 0 calories. So there's no pancreas interaction. There's no gallbladder interaction. They're already digested. So they're literally going to hit your intestine and break down and absorb within 23 minutes-ish, 100 centimeters of your intestine. So as long as you got 100 centimeters of intestine, chances are that's going to work. So you can go to bed in that fasted state, bridge that gap of protein. Maybe that's 15 grams of protein, 15 grams of amino acids, perfect amino. It's a lot, but it's not a lot. I've been involved in small anecdotal experiments. I've taken as much as 70 grams at one time. And on a live glucose monitor, never saw glucose do anything but dip, which indicates to me that there's actual ATP energy being used. No nitrogen outflow in urine tests, so it's not leaving the body. It's not being wasted. No. It's kind of a simple concept. Like, how much is too much? If you're just taking perfect amino, there's not really a point. It's a ratio thing. It's not a quantity thing. What makes it special is the ratio of essential amino acids. There's 8 of them, 9 of them, really, if you count conditional. At the core, it is 8 essential amino acids, and it's the relationship that they have to one another that creates no limiting factor. So if you need to take it all at one time before bed because you're trying to build weight or build muscle, do it. That's totally fine. It's not going to go catabolic, right? You're not going to break your fast unless maybe you hit an obscene number. But 70 is kind of obscene. Right?
Wait, how many tablets is that? If you're doing the tablet,
I did scoops. Yeah, so I did 14 scoops. So that is 40, 50, that's 60 tablets.
Whoa, I think I would throw up.
Yeah, it's a lot. So, yeah, but you kind of got to prove the theory. And I did for myself. I felt amazing, by the way. Like, I didn't have more energy, but I felt almost invincible, if that makes any sense. Like, just a huge smile on my face for hours and hours. And I'm just like, man, I want to go work out right now. Like,
yeah. Fired up. Give me some heavy kettlebells.
Yeah. Like, I keep checking my blood glucose monitor. I'm like, nope, it's still at 75.
So a good experiment. So what should we look at doing? Like a female versus male nighttime? What's kind of a starting point protocol for people to experiment with?
Well, as Dr. Minkoff would point out, like, make sure that your bedroom doesn't have environmental factors. Right?
Yeah.
Like, handle those.
The Wi-Fi signal router by your bed.
Exactly. The cell phone charging right by your bed with... Yeah, picking up, like, handle those simple things, especially if you have any issues sleeping. Highly encourage an Oura Ring or something similar so you can get a understanding of how much deep sleep you have, right? There was years I couldn't get past 45 minutes. Like, it didn't matter what I did. So that's not doing you any favors. It ended up really being my cell phone. Like, my cell phone was the culprit, which it's common. Once environmental factors.
34% last night. I don't know how, but 2 hours and 9 minutes of deep sleep is 34%. So I always strive to get 20 to 30% on my Oura. Deep sleep to REM what is your goal?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I try for 2 hours. I don't try for percentages. I don't care the percentage. It's really about the time that I have.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, and handling that's your first step. Chances are, if that's being put in, then you are already working out your muscles and your body is producing the hormones it needs to get sound sleep. So other than that, it's excess protein, excess amino acids that you just want to have access to in the body at that time. So one thing most people understand is amino acids are catabolic after a few hours. Like, our body can't hold on to them. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to eat dinner at 4:00 and I'm going to go to bed at 10, your body is starving. Like, you're not going to produce as much serotonin, much dopamine, as much melatonin. You're not going to have those body repair cycles go as deep or as long because it's not there, right? The only thing that's going to be there is what it's going to break down catabolically. Is now our protein metabolism's out of whack, right?
Mm. Yeah, so it's all about the protein metabolism, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Learning about that.
Yeah, protein metabolism it's a much bigger element than it gets credit for. And it gets all the credit in the world, but just at these little, like, areas. Like, we're talking anabolic, we're talking catabolic, but never this whole concept of, well, this balance is what handles everything. And we want to be anabolic, and doing so, we're going to be catabolic. But if we don't want to just be catabolic, we need to have essential amino acids to be anabolic. So you have a balance, because this is always here, right? Dr. Lehman, you're going to use 300 grams of amino acids a day, whether you eat it or not, right? That's huge. Like, regardless of age, regardless of diet, your body's going to use it. And 60% of it's going to be for liver enzymes and gut enzymes and mucosal lining. So everything else you're going to do is with the remaining 40%.
So fascinating.
Yeah. I love
Now,
that guy.
what would you say about the leucine threshold he talks about? Because I think seems important when we're looking at protein quality, and that the whole leucine is about 3 grams per amino acid profile.
Yeah, it's interesting. As a few years ago, it was 2.5, and it's 3 now, which is totally fine. Like 2 servings of perfect amino basically gets you there. That's not a big deal for us. But what people don't get is a leucine threshold for protein to activate protein synthesis isn't the same thing as building new protein. You're activating the synthesis mechanism. It's not the same thing as we're totally anabolic, right? There's a confusion there. Like, we can activate the mechanism off 3 grams of leucine all by itself. Like, taking isolated leucine, you're going to get the same mechanism to turn on, but there's no anabolic material that can happen after that. Most of it turns catabolic, right? So we can put the key in, unlock it, open the door, and never walk through.
The body's an amazing thing.
It is. It is absolutely incredible. Yeah, like it's the leucine threshold is an interesting element that people always assume what you don't say is being said, and we're really good at that, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think. So, what would your summary be if you want to improve the aging process to be strong and powerful and fast?
My summary for that, honestly, look at the ones that have done it already, like Dr. David Minkoff, freaking David Goggins, all of our board of advisors. All of our board of advisors are amazing people, and some of the best Ironman triathletes in the world, and they're in their 70s and 80s. Like, I'm not there yet. Maybe everything I'm doing is wrong. But what I'm doing is trying to emulate what they're doing, because these guys have a great insight. You yourself, like, you look younger than me.
I'm trying. I would take off my blue blockers. My thing is the skin health, but then I'm diving in a whole nother topic of the microbiome, how fascinating that is with L. reuteri and the super gut, and talk to Dr. William Davis about that, and just how the bacteria, or gut bacteria, and skin health and collagen, and just all these different rabbit holes I could go down every day for hours. So fascinating how our innate intelligence works, and how we are hosts to this microbiome, and then how that impacts our health, as well as getting the protein in. It's just insane.
So true.
Yeah.
Well,
so
okay, hold on. I'll give you one. So the most impactful thing that I've learned from someone else, to kind of answer this question, if you want, well, I'll give you the whole thing. So, old age is the endless pursuit of comfort. If you want to live forever, threaten your life every day. Do something that your body doesn't want you to do every day. Every time you reach a barrier, if you pull back and don't sit and make that your barrier comes back to you. So you're going to make yourself smaller and smaller and smaller. But if you reach a barrier, something that makes you uncomfortable, and then you push by it, then your world gets bigger and you expand.
Yeah, interesting.
It is the most impactful thing that anyone has ever told me. And that I believe that was Dr. David Minkoff via Dr. David Goggins, not Dr. David Goggins. He is not a doctor. But David Goggins, is I believe that came from them both.
Longevity. Yeah. I know.
Live forever, challenge your life.
Well, I know Ben Greenfield had his book Boundless, had the section of different people that still living and live a long quality life, and they're very strong. As my husband works for Laird Hamilton Superfoods, and Laird and Gabby are great examples as how to keep the aging process, and all these other amazing people, as Mark Sisson, just looking at how these people look ripped or 60s, they look pretty good. Good examples.
It's getting to the point where it's not even an accomplishment anymore. Now I'm looking for where's the 90-year-olds, because there's so many 60s, 70s, and 80s that are just like, you're how old?
I know. Well, I'll finish up. But last weekend I was in Tucson and I saw my old, I called him my Iron Mom and Dad from Iron Man. We all did Ironmans 2001 until we all quit over time. But he's 80 and he doesn't look any different than he did when he was 60. And he's still trail riding and gravel bike riding. And I was like, you haven't aged at all. Neither of them to have his wife, Edie. And I said, you know, he said people ask him all the time, what do you do? And he said, I just didn't stop. I kept, working out and keeping at it. And he just adjusted to trail running versus road riding and gravel riding. So it just made those adjustments. But as I say, don't blame the aging process, embrace it and do things a little differently. Focus more on building muscle and doing shorter workouts and more sprints and all that stuff. So I know it's good.
Agree completely.
All right. Well, thanks, Chase, for your time today. I'll add some extra stuff in the show notes and people can find Essential Amino Acids and other products at, what's that website, bodyhealth.com or?
Bodyhealth.com.
Okay. And then we'll put our discount code in there. I think we have low carb athlete for our listeners that we had from last time. So we'll add all that in the show notes. So check it out.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Debbie. It was a pleasure.
Hey guys, it's Debbie. And if you like what you listen to and you're curious and want to learn more on how you can be a health optimizer and take ownership of your health in the future when you are 70, 80, 90 years old, let's talk. Head to debbiepotts.net and set up a free discovery call with me to learn more about my personalized coaching packages as my health investigation package or my VIP package, where we dive into a program together for 6 months to help learn what you can do to be the best version of yourself. Hey, I just wanted to make sure you enjoyed that episode today, as I find protein and creatine super fascinating. And a few notes I'll just add in. If you work out daily, the suggestions to improve performance, you may want to add 1 to 2 servings of perfect aminos to the amounts I talked about beginning of the show. So you can look at the page, bodyhealth.com, Perfect Amino User Guide, how to use Perfect Aminos for maximum benefits. So you can take Perfect Aminos before your workout as well as before bed to enhance recovery. You will get the most for recovery by taking Perfect Amino before bed, as we talked about. So it can be taking 20 to 30 minutes before a workout for maximum endurance and prevention of muscle loss, especially during those morning fasted workouts that some of you are doing. And then they also said one would not need to take more after the workout, as aminos will still be in your bloodstream helping recovery. So just to clarify. And they'll be normally in your bloodstream for 2 to 3 hours. So if they say the word larger, I know as a tall person, I hate when people say larger. So if you are higher body weight and taller, that's a politically larger people. That just sounds bad if you're tall. So if you are doing more intensive 1 to 2 hour workouts, try using the Perfect Aminos as your main protein source to supplement by taking 2 servings in the morning, 2 servings before the workout, and 2 before bed is suggested. Again, you are the boss of you. You are the expert. It's an N=1 experiment, so no one can tell you what to do. You need to figure out what works best for you. And many people do well with this, but this can be your primary source of protein. Those that don't get enough protein, as my clients are always struggling to figure out how to get more protein, but taking these tablets are kind of big chalky tablets that some people might not like taking a ton of them, that you can drink. The essential amino acids, and as we talked about, the electrolyte mix is coming back in stock. They're out of it. But 1 to 2 hour workouts, intensive workouts, check that out. So that's on this page. And another note, I think it's important because I know clients having surgery. I have a client, 2 people I know do knee replacement. So if you've had any illness, surgery, or injury, or if you have pre-existing medical condition, you probably shouldn't be working out or modify it. So you are working out more, probably a reduced level, because there's too much pressure on your body system. And so talk to your doctor and work with a coach, figure out exercising. But having these perfect aminos, this is when I got into essential aminos, when I had a bike crash and I had surgery for my shoulder, and then I've had a hand surgery, and I found doing bone broth and having essential amino acid supplement really helped on my recovery and repair. So something to check out. A recommendation, 1 to 3 servings recommended by the body weight, and add an additional serving. And depending on the situation, you may be enough or find you want to add more in the evening time. So again, everyone is unique and different, and there's not one size protocol that everyone wants to ask me for. But when you're recovered, you can cut back and then adjust as needed. So great information on their website, tons of blogs, and Dr. Minkoff has lots of videos you can check out on their YouTube channel too. So hopefully that helps you, and let me know if you have questions. Again, save with our discount code LowCarbAthlete upon checkout at bodyhealth.com, and let me know how they work for you.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.